Long ago, in the peaceful village of Omokwe, people lived by traditions passed down from their ancestors. Life was slow, the land was rich, and the people were proud of their ways. The village had many customs, but one rule was repeated more than any other. Do not leave your clothes outside overnight. Every child knew the saying. Every mother reminded her daughters. And every elder would raise a finger and say, "At night, the land is no longer ours. Spirits walk freely. If they touch your clothes, they will know who you are, and they may follow you home." Others believed the danger wasn't just from spirits, but from people with bad hearts. They said anyone with jealousy or evil in their soul could pick a cloth and use it to cast sickness, poverty, or even madness on its owner. So, before the sun set, women and girls would rush to the drying lines, folding wrappers, skirts, and shirts as if their lives depended on it. But the world was changing. Some young people had started going to the cities, studying, working, and returning with bold ideas. They wore trousers, spoke English mixed with fast grammar, and laughed at anything that smelled like superstition. One of them was Nkechi, a bright and confident 17-year-old who had just returned from Port Harcourt to care for her aging mother. She had seen city lights, lived in upstairs buildings, and learned to speak in meetings. She didn't believe in old rules, especially ones that sounded like fairy tales. On her first week back in New Milk, Mama Chica next door called out to her, "Nkechi, the sun is going down. Don't forget your clothes on the line, oh." But Nkechi only smiled and replied, "Auntie, nothing will happen. Spirit know they wear jeans and t-shirt now." The women around laughed nervously. Some shook their heads. "She's young," they said. "City has made her proud." That night, the sky was clear, but the village air was thick with silence. The trees swayed slowly as if watching. In her backyard, Nkechi's clothes danced gently on the line, still out in the night breeze. Across the fence, behind a crooked wooden window, her neighbor Auntie Obioma sat on a low stool. Auntie Obioma was known to be helpful, always smiling. But people whispered behind her back. They said her joy was only skin deep. They said she used to be beautiful until her husband left her for a younger woman. They said she never forgot or forgave. That night, when she saw Nkechi's clothes still hanging outside, her eyes narrowed. She walked to her window and smiled, not the kind of smile that brings peace, but the kind that opens doors best left shut. She whispered, "They bring city pride into village soil, let's see how far that pride can go." And just before midnight, she stepped outside, barefoot, slow, and quiet. Her shadow didn't match her steps. She walked to the clothesline and touched one of Nkechi's wrappers. She held it to her nose. Inhaled deeply. Fresh. Naive. Unprotected. She folded it gently, placed it under her wrapper, and disappeared into the dark. The rooster crowed hours later. He knew they had come. But for Nkechi, the night had just begun. Morning came like any other. The sun stretched across the roofs of Omokwe, waking goats, roosters, and yawning children. Nkechi stepped outside with a bucket in one hand and confidence in the other. She smiled at her neighbors as she moved toward her backyard. But as she reached the clothesline, her smile faltered. One wrapper was missing. She looked left, right. Searched the grass. Checked the fence. Maybe the wind carried it away. Maybe someone picked it by mistake. Maybe nothing. She shrugged. "Just one wrapper," she said to herself, "what's the big deal?" But the wind knew. The trees whispered. And in her neighbor's kitchen, Auntie Obioma was already boiling bitter leaf and ashes in a small black pot. That week, strange things began to happen. At first, it was small. Nkechi's phone froze for no reason. She couldn't sleep through the night, always waking at 3 a.m., heart pounding like a talking drum. She began to feel watched, even when she was alone. Her mother noticed. "Nkechi, your eyes are red. Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Mama." "Maybe it's malaria." But malaria doesn't make your shadow twitch when you're standing still. Soon, it grew worse. At the market, people she once laughed with now gave her cold stares. Her best friend, Ogo, crossed the road one morning to avoid greeting her. She started forgetting simple things, boiling water till it burned, leaving the gate open, misplacing her shoes. And then came the sickness. It started with a cough, then tiredness, then something deeper. A pain in her chest that no doctor could explain. She grew lean, her skin lost its color, her eyes turned dull. One evening, as she stared at her reflection in a pot of water, she whispered, "Something is not right." Her mother took her to the health center. Tests were run. No typhoid. No malaria. "Nothing wrong," the nurse said, confused. "Just try and rest more. Maybe you're stressed." But deep inside, Nkechi knew. This was not city stress. This was village punishment. That night, as she tried to sleep, she remembered the wrapper. The one she had left out. The one that had disappeared. Her heart began to beat faster. The stories she laughed at started to make sense. And across the fence, Auntie Obioma was smiling again. Stirring a fresh pot of leaves, clay, and something soft and blue, the missing wrapper. The village of omokwe was changing. Whispers grew louder. Eyes followed Nkechi whenever she walked past. Children stopped playing near her mother's compound. Women paused their gossip when she passed. Even the market women, once friendly, now measured her with silence. It wasn't just sickness that followed her anymore, it was isolation. One afternoon, after fetching water, Nkechi tripped and fell. She sat on the red sand, sweating and shaking. She didn't cry, she simply stared at the dust on her hands, as if trying to read the truth between the lines. That night, she sat with her mother by the fire. "Mama," she said slowly, "you remember that wrapper I left outside?" Her mother nodded. "The one that vanished. I think someone took it. And used it." Mama dropped the spoon she was holding. "You left it overnight." Nkechi nodded, shame soft in her voice. For a long time, her mother said nothing. She stared into the fire, her jaw tight. Then finally, "We must go and see Dibia Nosy." The next morning, they walked to the edge of the forest where the old healer lived. Dibia Nosy was thin like bamboo and wrinkled like old bark. But his eyes, sharp like a hawk's, saw everything. He listened in silence as Nkechi spoke, her voice trembling. When she finished, he only asked one question. "Who was jealous of your return?" Nkechi thought. Faces passed through her mind, some kind, some cold. Then she paused. Auntie Obioma. She remembered the strange smile. The sharp gaze. The time Obioma had muttered, "City children think they know everything." The Dibia nodded slowly. "She took your cloth. Used it to tie your essence. That's why you are weak. That's why your path is blocked." Nkechi's mother gasped. "Can we undo it?" The Dibia stood. "Yes. But not without humility. And truth." That evening, they went to Auntie Obioma's house. Nkechi stood at her doorway, voice soft but firm. "Auntie, please. If I have offended you, forgive me. If you took my cloth, please return it." Obioma laughed without smiling. "Why would I touch your city wrapper? Do I look like I wear fashion?" But her eyes betrayed her. A flicker. A tremble. Nkechi knelt. "I know pride brought me this far. But I want to leave. Please." Behind her, neighbors began to gather. Quiet, watching. Curious. Obioma shifted. Then, slowly, she stood up, entered her house, and returned with a small white bundle. She dropped it on the ground. "Take your cloth. Go and leave me alone." Nkechi's mother picked it up with a rag. The air around them changed, heavier, warmer, calmer. No one said a word. But as they walked away, the villagers began to nod. Maybe the old stories were true after all. Nkechi did not recover overnight. Healing, like trust, takes time. But from the moment her wrapper returned, her body began to breathe again. She slept through the night. Her appetite came back. Even her skin began to glow like early morning sun. A week later, she returned to Dibia Nosy. He gave her herbs to wash herself and a warning wrapped in wisdom. Pride brings blindness. The spirit world does not argue with science. Both exist. Both demand respect. Back in Omokwe, people looked at Nkechi differently, not with fear now, but with understanding. She no longer mocked the elders. She listened more. Spoke less. Even Auntie Obioma, though silent, stopped crossing her arms like a shield whenever she saw Nkechi. The wrapper was never worn again. Nkechi folded it, placed it in a box, and tied it shut. Then came the day she stood at the village square during the New Yam festival. As children danced and drums echoed, Nkechi stepped forward and spoke before the crowd. I left my cloth outside because I thought I was wiser than our ways. I almost paid with my life. Please, let us not throw away our roots because the world is changing. Not all warnings are fear, some are love in disguise. The crowd clapped. Even the elders nodded. From that day, the saying returned, stronger than before. Do not leave your clothes outside overnight. The wind is not always alone. If you enjoyed this story, like, comment and subscribe for more.